Welcome, everyone. This is Christina Wise, and welcome to today's Money Talk. And today we're going to talk about a millionaire blueprint, 5 easy steps for becoming a millionaire. So let's just jump right in and get started. All right, who is this talk for? This talk is for anyone who makes a good income, but still feels like they're paycheck to paycheck. It's for anyone who has learned how to pay off debt, save, and turn working income into passive income. So if you're any of those things, you're in the right place. All right, in the next 60 minutes, you're going to learn the 7 secrets that millionaires know that you don't. You're going to learn how to turn your hardworking income into easy passive income. You're going to learn the strategic difference between being stuck financially and what I call rolling in the money. I'm going to teach you easy math that will make you a millionaire in the 5 steps for becoming one. And my promise to you is I'm going to share with you at the end a 5-step approach for becoming a millionaire. Yes, it's really that easy. We can break it down into 5 steps. Plus, I have a cool gift for you. So you'll want to stick to the very end and let me know that you want the gift. And I'm also going to be answering all your money questions. So be sure to stick to the very end. All right, let me ask you a question. Do any of these things sound like you? Do you have debt that you can't dump? Do you start out every month wondering how you're going to pay for that month? Does everything look good on the outside, but you secretly feel shame for your financial situation on the inside? Do you see other people who seem to have it all, but you just work harder and harder and harder and can't seem to get ahead? Is your entrepreneurial income inconsistent and volatile, which causes you unwanted stress and conflict? Do you feel guilty when it comes to money? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And do you want to learn how to save and invest, but you don't know how? Do you feel, this is like the big question, do you feel that there's always a lack of money? The real problem is, it's not, if you feel like that you have a lack of money, many times we think that's the real problem, but a lack of money isn't the problem. A lack of money is the symptom of the problem. The real problem is you don't know the money secrets. You don't know what rich people know. So we're going to talk about that today, because here's the thing. Once you know what rich people know, you'll be free of all money fears and hangups. You'll know how exhilarating it feels to be completely debt-free. You'll feel secure because you know how to save and stockpile cash. You'll have money and time to spend on self-love and self-care without guilt. Your financial tension will be melt away and be replaced by peace of mind and harmony and security and all those really lovely, comfy feelings. You'll feel the power to confidently know how to increase your income. You'll know the secret behind creating wealth and passive income, which is actually the name of the game. You'll love money. You'll learn to love money for the good it can do. We'll get over these money hangups, the what I call the money neurosis, the shame, the guilt, these crazy feelings we feel about this money thing that tends to really be emotionally charged. You'll learn to really feel the power, the depth of your love relationship when you learn how to get on the same page with money with your partner. And you'll really learn to become an intentional, what I call an intentional millionaire in the making. We can all be millionaires in the making once we know the secrets of how to do it. And once you know the secrets, you'll be in touch with your purpose as a designer of your life, a designer of your destiny. Get in connection of what I call money and meaning and knowing your purpose. And so that's when you learn how to solve the problem and not really focus on just the symptom of the problem, then your life will completely change. So the one thing you need to know to solve the big money problem is that there are secrets that millionaires know that make them rich and free that you don't know, that keep you on what I call that paycheck to paycheck hamster wheel. So this is me, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about money today, but I haven't always understood money. That's me in front of our trailer home. I grew up poor, very poor, food stamp poor, with 2 alcoholic parents. I was abandoned by my parents at a very young age. And what lack of money meant to me growing up was hunger sometimes, and powdered milk and high water jeans. Lack of money meant real humiliation, a lot of shame, serious guilt, And really, more than anything, this significant feeling of feeling less than, of feeling below, of feeling not good enough, of feeling that that I wasn't as good as other people because I was poor. So that's where I began. And this is who I am today. My name is Christina Wise. For those of you that have never met me before, I'm the founder of 3 multi-million-dollar businesses. I'm a best-selling author of a money mastery book. I'm a 7-figure income earner and what I call a decamillionaire. I'm going to show you that a little bit later. And essentially, Gary, my husband, and I, we could, I guess, claim to be retired. I don't like the word retired. I replace that with the word financially free. And that freedom basically means our passive income covers the cost of our lifestyle. And I'll show you what that looks like later. I'm going to open up the hood of our financial engine, if you will. And what my friend Lori Marrero likes to see, I'm going to open up my money kimono. So anyway, that's who I am. I'm now a millionaire coach and I teach money. This is my passion. I love money as a conversation. I love to help others take the charge out of money. And I like it just to be a very pragmatic, practical conversation and journey that once we learn the secrets of making millions, we can all be working towards that. And it's learnable by everyone once we understand sort of the basics. And I've taught thousands how to become a millionaire, what I call millionaires in the making. So here's the thing. There are 7 secrets the millionaires know that you don't, which makes them rich and is keeping you paycheck to paycheck. So let's talk about those. The first millionaire secret is millionaires don't focus on how much money they make. Millionaires don't focus on how much money they make. There's this myth out there that says that it's just this sort of mythical belief that the answer to all my money problems is to make more money. And that's a myth. It's a fallacy. To become a millionaire, to have net worth, to have financial freedom, to have passive income, to have free time. I mean, we buy time with our money, and then that's what free time is. It's bought time, basically. But to have all that, it has very little to do with our income. Our income's just an accelerator. So millionaires don't really care about how much money they make. I mean, at least it's not the first thing that they care about. They care about more than making money. And here's the thing. See, we never learn money in school. And that's part of what I want to teach, is teach money like everything we should have learned in middle school. But our school system didn't teach us about money. What our school system really set us up for was sort of this idea of sitting in a classroom, and then once you learn, you get a job and you work for your income, you work for your job and income for the rest of your life, and then you retire. And then I guess at that point it's happily ever after. But here's the thing, is that sort of training really is in our background. It's what our school system taught us, basically. And so subconsciously, we keep that sort of programming. And what happens then is that if that's true, then we're always in this income game, and we're trading our money for time. I mean, we're trading our hard work for time for money. And then it's just this income game. And then we believe if we work harder, then we can make more money. And as we make more money, then we can buy more things. And as we buy more things, our life gets more stressful and we have more payments, and then we have to make more income. And it's really that sort of vicious cycle that we get on, just thinking that one day I can retire and then life becomes, I guess, financially easier. But that's all fallacy. It's all mythical. And rich people, millionaires, don't think that way. They're not focused. They're not in that game. They're in what I call the asset game. Millionaires aren't playing the income game. They're playing the asset game. And that's a big takeaway. It's a real mind shift, because when we can start moving our intention around making money and more about building assets, it changes the game. It changes how we play. It really changes everything. Because here's the thing with assets. Assets aren't limited to time spent. Assets, there is no ceiling on asset growth or asset income, really. So it's not attached to how hard we work. We want our assets to work hard and really grow and work hard and throw off income. So at some point it can replace our hard-working income. And again, I will talk more about that as we get into this money conversation today. So the second millionaire secret is millionaires don't do what the Joneses are doing. And many times, many of us, we don't think about ourselves as Joneses. We're just thinking, we're working hard, we're getting by, we're trying to do our best. But it's really, unless we're very conscientious with our money, unless we're very intentional with our money, we just fall into what I call this cultural soup, this cultural trap of this Western consumption society. We're always buying things, and it's hard not to. It's almost impossible not to. All the advertisers out there, Amazon, we're one click to buying anything from Amazon. The banks make it very easy to get credit and debt. So there's this entire system out there that's rigged against us. And how is it rigged? It's because we as human beings, we're psychology and biology, basically. So the internet marketers, the advertisers, all of those ads, it's all working our psychology, telling us we're not good enough the way we are. We need to buy different brand clothes, or we need to buy a certain car, or we need to live in a certain neighborhood. We need to upsize versus downsize. So it's this constant messaging to our psychology that's causing us to believe that we need to buy more to be good enough, to be significant enough, to be able to be judged well by others. And then there's the biology, that's that dopamine receptor that again, the advertisers and the banks, and they all know this, is that when we buy something new, we get some little dopamine dopamine receptor, and we get a little dopamine boost. And dopamine boost is sort of it's a feel good, and it's the neurotransmitter behind a lot of addiction. So there's shopaholic, just like there is alcoholic. I mean, it's a true term, and it's this dopamine. It has to do with this addictive connection to that dopamine. Oh my God, I love the Amazon box showing up. Oh my gosh, I love how good I feel when I go buy a new outfit. But it's always short lived. Then you have to get the next dose and the next dose and the next injection, and take the next what I call the next pill. So millionaires don't do what the Joneses are doing. They understand the game. They understand the rigged system. They understand how the banks work, and how credit card works, and how debt works, and they're using all that knowledge to their advantage versus being victim to it. That's one. The second thing, it's really learning how to separate happiness from spending money. Many of us, we're buying our happiness and so it's that shopping, it's buying, it's attaching our happiness to what we have versus who we are. So millionaire secret number 2 is not doing what the Joneses are doing, because here's what it looks like. The average American, North American, has $16,000 of credit card debt. And that may or may not sound like a lot to you, but what we don't know, and what millionaires know, is what $16,000 of credit card debt means. This is what it means. It means basically a $240 minimum payment. So sometimes people think, wow, I'm really getting away with something. I owe 16 grand, but I only have to pay $240 a month to pay that off. But that's the banking system, the rig basically, that's really maxing out risk, sort of risk reward, that how low can they get your payments so you'll continue to make those payments forever and make the most amount of interest. So, they know how the millionaire math works, the algorithms work. And so more or less $16,000 of debt means only, let's say, $240 per month. But here's what they're not telling you, what's not in the fine print, that 16 grand by paying off the minimum payment is going to take you roughly 15 years to pay off by making the minimum payment. 15 years. And the total cost of borrowing that $16,000 is $40,000. So you're paying 40 to when you bought 16. So you're paying more than double for whatever you bought. We buy the jeans on sale, yet we don't realize we're paying 2 or 3 times by the time we pay off all that credit card debt. So basically that's a $24,000 premium to buy now versus wait until we have the money and pay cash for these things. Now here's 2 other important things of what this $16,000 of credit card debt means. This is how the rich get richer, is because, and this is what millionaires know that you don't, is that what millionaires know is that $240 paying the bank, that they are compounding that money, and they're making tens of thousands of dollars on that $16,000, on that $240 minimum payment. So what millionaires do is they take that $240 payment and they don't pay the credit card bank, they pay their bank. They put that $240 a month into their bank, because at the end of that same 15 years, when you'd pay that off, The millionaires know that would be $100,000 in the millionaire's bank and not in the credit card bank. So that's the difference. That $240, not only is it an expense on your books every month, it's taking you 15 years to pay off, it's robbing you of $100,000 that otherwise you'd have in your bank account versus $40,000 out of your bank account. So that's what $16,000 of credit card debt means. Now, the Joneses, what the Joneses are doing, 75% of the Joneses live paycheck to paycheck, regardless of how much money they make. This is really important. There's a term that I use. It's called a high income broke person. Being broke, what does broke mean? Sometimes we think of broke as like financial straits, like don't have a job, lazy, not doing what it takes to sort of support the family. That's not what broke is. Like broke is living paycheck to paycheck. That's if you earn $50,000 and live paycheck to paycheck. If you earn $100,000 and live paycheck to paycheck. If you earn $500,000 and live paycheck to paycheck. There are lots of high income broke people. And that's because paycheck to paycheck means if one thing goes wrong, really, you're in financial crisis, and that's 75% of the Joneses. And 84% of the Joneses have no emergency funds. And that's really sort of a tag on to the last stat, because when you have no emergency funds, again, one thing goes wrong, you're going to have to put that next month on a credit card. So these are what the Joneses are doing, and millionaires in the making. And, millionaires are not doing this. And so it's not being an American statistic. That's really important if we want to move towards being a millionaire. Millionaire secret number 3 is millionaires become disciples of money mastery, not necessarily disciples of money, but disciples of money mastery. And disciples, that sort of the word is discipline. So millionaires are disciplined when it comes to money. They have a money discipline. They're disciplined with their money. They're disciples of money mastery. They learn about it. They study it. They take time with it. A friend of mine, the co-author of one of the best-selling money books of all time, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the way she describes it, she says we're either masters of our money or a slave to it. And that's pretty harsh, but I believe that to be true also, that it's either or. And so we need to choose. Do we want to be slaves to our money, never master it, live paycheck to paycheck, be one of the Joneses statistics? Or do we want to master our money? Do we want to take some time with it? Maybe, change our lifestyle a little bit. And here's the thing. It just takes a little education and changing a few habits and practices to move from a master from a slave. All right, millionaire secret number 4 is millionaires spend way less than they earn. And this isn't rocket science, and that's the thing. Becoming a millionaire is not rocket science. It's actually pretty simple. We just don't know some of these fundamental truths or these money basics. But millionaires spend way less than they earn. The Joneses spend their entire paycheck each month, no matter how much money they make. And that's really the difference. And so millionaires, they spend way less than they earn. So no matter how much money they make, they spend, versus earning $5,000 a month and spending $5,000 a month on all those payments, all those bills, that amount to $5,000 of bills. They might only spend $3,000, keep their lifestyle to only cost $3,000 a month. And that $2,000 a month, what are they using it for? They're using it to buy assets. Just like we talked about, because millionaires don't care about income from their working income, they care about income from their asset income. So which means they have to buy or invest in assets, because assets are the things that make you money when you're not working. That's the definition of an asset. And assets are things that make you money when you're not working. That's why we want to grow assets, right? So that as they grow, those assets will throw off income, and that income then can replace our working income. And that's the definition of retirement or financial freedom. So that's why we need to care less about our working income and more about our passive income and how we're going to reduce our expenses today to put that differential into asset accumulation so that we grow that income for tomorrow, the passive future self income. And here there are different types of assets, and it's important to know this. And that's what another thing that millionaires know is they know basic financial terminology. They know basic definitions. And so number one, millionaires know what an asset is, right? And assets are what? Assets are those things that make you money when you're not working, basically. But there's financial assets. There's financial assets that, we invest in, like stocks, equities, bonds, real estate, and any type, alternative, more traditional investments. But there's other types of assets too. Time is an asset. So millionaires care about their time, how they're spending it, and what they're working towards. Relationships are assets. And so our environment, who we spend time with, is really important. Millionaires like spending time with other millionaires, sort of outside of that Joneses mentality, that Joneses sort of cultural pull, if you will. And assets are our health, our bodies. So millionaires really are thinking about assets and putting all these assets to work together for exponential, abundant growth. So millionaire secret number 5 is millionaires reverse engineer the norm. So the Joneses norm is what? The Joneses norm, as we've already talked about, basically is to earn and spend everything they earn. So if they earn $5,000, their bills are basically $5,000 a month. Millionaires reverse engineer the norm. What are they doing? What they're doing is that they're saying, okay, if I want to be a millionaire, how much money do I need to save and invest to become a millionaire? And that's what I'm going, and what amount of time. So that's the money I'm going to take off of my gross income and put away every single month. And then I'm going to live on what's left over. I'm going to create my lifestyle budget based on what's left over after I save and invest. So really, that is the fundamental difference between rich people and broke people. It's that simple, but it's very intentional. And I think, and if we're not educated on this, we don't understand that it's a different game that millionaires play, then it's really hard to sort of get out of this trap that we're in to move into, like I said, a completely different board game. So millionaires completely reverse engineer what the Joneses are doing. Millionaire secret number 6 is millionaires watch their money like a hawk. So this is really important. When I have a money course, I'm going to talk to you guys about that later, but I have hundreds of people that go through my courses every single year. And when they start going through the money course, and, by week 2, it's like this huge realization of like, holy cow, I had no idea I was spending this much money. I had no idea that this money was just sort of falling through the cracks. I had no idea that I was spending this much towards that or this much towards that. So that's the shame. That's the difference, is that if we don't know that, that's why we're in a very tough financial predicament, because we're not watching our money. Millionaires, you have to know where your money's going. Money has to be intentional, conscious, thoughtful, pragmatic, looking at it, spending time with it, caring about it, tending to it. I liken it to gardening. If you want to have a beautiful garden, you just don't go buy a garden and then you have a garden. You plant, you cultivate, you weed eat, you spend time. If you don't, what happens? The weeds take over. The most beautiful garden, weeds will take over, and that beautiful garden will turn into, something that is uglier by having the weeds in it than if it were just dirt and had nothing in it. So it's gardening. You have to garden your money. You cultivate it. You spend time with it, and you want to be out in the garden. You want to get your hands dirty. You want to take out the old and put in the new. But millionaires watch their money. They spend time with it. They care about it. They don't let it go run wild and let the weeds take over. Millionaire secret number 7 is millionaires know millionaire math. And this is really important, is that if you want to become a millionaire, you have to know the millionaire math. You have to want to know the millionaire math. Now, it's not calculus, and so it's not hard math. It's basic math. It's math that middle schoolers can do. So that's the good news. But we do have to want to know some millionaire math. We do need to, we want to, put some numbers in a calculator every once in a while. We want to get very familiar with what I call a compounding calculator. So that's what millionaires do, is they know the math. They do the math. They're in some spreadsheets. That's part of the watching their money like the hawk. They're moving money from from, one account to another and really watching how the math adds up. And so millionaire math, here's some terminology that you need to know. You need to know what is compound interest and how are your investments compounding. You have to know the definition of asset value, return on investment, cash on cash, true, very basic investment terms, money terms. But that's all part of millionaire math. You might need to know you need to have some budgeting software. You need to maybe have an Excel spreadsheet. Very simple, not complex, but you do need to know the math and the terminology that you'll work, you work the math around. So just here's some Jones's math. Joneses earn a $50,000, let's say, a year, and they spend $50,000 a year. If Joneses, they earn $100,000 a year, they spend $100,000 a year. So that's how the Joneses think of millionaire math, money in, money out. Millionaires think of the math very differently. And let me show you just an example of this. And this is what I call just my millionaire math chart, breaking it down very simply. So in this case, and this is the work you do if you're a millionaire in the making. You start putting in some of these numbers into just a very simple, Excel spreadsheet like what this is. And it's just a few columns and a few formulas, very simple. But in this case, on the left here, this is investment percentage on the left column. And on the top, you'll see the investment dollars, your spending allowance, and your years to become a millionaire. In this case, I'm using $50,000 a year and which is $4,200 a month. And I'm using this number for a reason, is that Gary and I, we have been in real estate our entire career and had real estate businesses. And in 2007, 2008, there was the complete real estate collapse. So prior to that, we were making some really good income. The real estate industry was hopping, especially here in Austin, Texas. We're making a really nice income at the time, but out of nowhere, the income went away. Nobody was buying real estate, which meant that nobody in real estate was making any money who were in the real estate business. And so our income at that time basically went from, high six figure to around $50,000, a dramatic decrease. And it was tough, right? But the first thing we did, once we saw that our income was really going down, we immediately started shifting our expenses and to be ahead of it, because we started noticing the income's going down. So we need to adjust things. So that year, like for 2 years, I think it was 2007, 2008, maybe 2009, our best year was about $50,000 those few years during that crash. So that's, let's say, and we were working hard for this $50,000 because it was hard to make money if you were in real estate in that time. But that's about $4,200 a month we're making. So what we did is we adjusted our expenses and we thought, okay, we are basically asset value and everything's gone down to nothing because most of our assets were in real estate. But we want to stay, like, let's say worst case that those assets don't come back in value. We're this age, at what age do we want to be a millionaire and how many years? And so we're like, well, we want it to be as quickly as possible while still being able to have some money to eat every single month. So we said, we'd like it max to be 21 years to be a millionaire because everything was like gone. So we looked at that and said, okay, if we're making $4,200 a month, then if we're going to be a millionaire within 21 years, putting all this into a compounding calculator, that means we need to invest $1,250 a month. So of the $4,200, we need to invest $1,250 and put it in the market. And so that's what we did. And that meant what's left over is our spending allowance was about $2,900 a month. And that's where we did. We shifted everything. So even during the collapse, we were still putting 30% of that new income, far lower income, aside to invest so that we can still stay on our millionaire track. And so that's what we did, and that's what anyone can do. And we were living off of $2,900 a month, basically, at that period of time, our household spending. So then a few years later, we started once the market started coming back a little bit, the economy started coming back, our income basically doubled that next year. We went from $50,000 to $100,000 of income that year. And so, again, being in our money all the time, our numbers all the time, we realized like, okay, well now we're making double the income we made the last couple of years. So now we can radically speed up a period of time that we'll become a millionaire. So we can take it from 20 years to 10 years by moving our percentage of investing from 30% where we were on the $50,000 income. But since our income increased, now we can invest 50%. So in this case, our spending went from about $2,900 to $4,100. So now we got to raise the cost of our lifestyle a little bit, but we held this investment still to 50% of our income at $100,000 so that we could really stay on this millionaire track. So that was, the very basics, but being in the money, be very conscious, watching it going through the collapse. Income goes way down, income goes, doubles, goes way up. It's always a journey. It's not like set it and forget it, but this is really how simple it was and what kept us sort of in that millionaire in the making track, even when the economy completely shifted. So here's another way to look at this. And this is what I call being on the hamster wheel. And you see the chart here and the millionaire in the making. So in this example, I've used, the hamster and the millionaire in the making earn $50,000 a year, which like we talked about, it's about $4,200 of monthly income. So this is the difference between how the Joneses are spending and the millionaires are spending. This is the difference of, let's say, what others were during that time or any time we're spending their $50,000 on, and how Gary and I really shifted down our spending. So here's the thing, max rent or mortgage on a $50,000 income. If you max that out with a mortgage company, you're looking at about $1,386, but we really reduced our mortgage here. So we kept it at $1,000. Car payments, the average car payment for Americans is $479. Our cars were paid for. So we didn't have the car payment. The average credit card payment is $240, that average of $16,000, but we were debt free. So we kept our debt at zero and make sure we reduced everything that we wouldn't get in credit card debt. Then utilities about the same, insurance about the same, gas and auto the same. Groceries, we probably spent a little bit more on groceries because we didn't eat out, and, we really cut all those sort of eating out expenses and different things and made money at home. But our groceries went a little bit up, and cell and internet was the same. And then sort of our luxury spending down here, no cable because that's $100 a month, no Starbucks because that's $80 a month, lunch outs maybe once a week versus many times a week. The happy hours, we'll just do that at home. So that's not that $100 going out. Dinner out maybe once a month versus 3 times a month. And subscriptions, we're going to get rid of all those sort of miscellaneous subscriptions that, who knows for whatever magazine. I don't even know what people pay subscriptions on these days. And shopping, sure, we might do some shopping, need to buy the kids some new clothes or something, or there's some sort of shopping, what they might need, but we really cut that down from $200 to $50. And because, we really lowered a lot of these expenses here compared to the Joneses, we still were able to save $420 a month, which gave us a surplus of $1,300 a month. From our $4,200 of monthly income to our spending means we have a surplus of $1,300, which means we can invest 32%, which was the 20 years for the millionaire in the making. So this is how we just went and really looked, it's the millionaire math. We looked at all these expenses and looked at places where we could cut and then use that money instead, like on cable, eating out, maxing out our mortgage. We downsized, we did the different things in order to put that money to our savings buckets so that we made sure we had a rainy day fund and those things, as well as we still had our $1,300 a month to apply to investment. So very simple. Again, this is exactly what we did. This is exactly how I coach it, but it's just moving money that's sort of on this side where people are maxing out. They're earning $4,200 and spending it, where they're earning $4,200 and they're organizing all their spending here so that they still have money left to invest and save. And that's really how millionaire math works. And here's some other millionaire math that millionaires know. And if you don't know this, then that is really revealing, is you have to know a few numbers, because what millionaires are about and what Millionaire in the Making is about, it's knowing your numbers. It's knowing your current numbers, like we've talked about, watching your money like a hawk, but it's knowing your future numbers, your future self numbers. So you're the designer of your own life. You're living in your present day while at the same time building for your future day, your future self, your future life that gets here before we know it, right? I mean, how fast does time go by? So these are a couple of things that that know the numbers, where millionaires know their numbers. The first number you need to know is you need to know what is your freedom income number. And that basically is you do it two ways. You work it forward, then you work it backward. We do all this in the course. I don't have time to do this with you here, but it's just sort of, here's the high level number. Is that how much is you need to know how much you're currently worth. What is your current net worth and what is that current income? So you take your current net worth, which are true assets. And what are the definition of assets? Assets are those that make money for you. So the house you live in is not an asset. Your car is not an asset, but assets are things that make you money. So you take the total asset value, your current asset value, divide by 20, and that's your current asset income, your passive income number. So if you don't have any assets, you have no passive income from your assets. And so that can maybe be sort of holy cow number one. But the first thing we do, and this is what we do in the course, is you find out what is your current future income value. And number two, you look at, okay, how much net worth do I need to have to really cover the cost of my lifestyle? So let's use the case that we have our current income is $50,000 and our current lifestyle, the cost of our lifestyle is $50,000. So what does that look like? How you take it is you need to know, you take your current net worth, you divide it by 20, and that would be $50,000 of income. So that shows you right there, for every $50,000 of income, basically, I'll show you this next slide. Oops. For every $50,000 of income, you need another $1 million net worth. And so this is what's called your freedom net worth number. And you need to know your net worth number. What net worth do you need in the future to be able to cover the cost of your lifestyle? So if your lifestyle here costs $50,000, you multiply that by 20, 50 times 20 is $1 million. So that's how much you need to have is net worth that, that accumulates. And that $1 million divided by 20 equals $50,000, which is how much income every million. And these are very rough numbers. I mean, these are sort of just rule of thumb numbers, but it's a really good guide to calculate how much you're worth today, how much passive income you're worth today, and how much you want to build towards tomorrow. So those are all the activities of millionaires, and it's all a function of millionaire math and putting some numbers into a compounding calculator that you can get on Google. All right, so at the very beginning, I promised you I'd share with you the 5 steps to becoming a millionaire. So here they are. And here's how simple it is. Again, becoming a millionaire is not rocket science. I think I already showed you how easy it is in the slides so far, but this is what it boils down to. Number 1, it's determining your surplus or deficit of your earning to spending. Again, we do this in the course, but this is what you want to do if you want to start moving towards, sort of the trajectory you're on and move your trajectory towards being a millionaire. The first step is to determine your current situation and what is your surplus to deficit of your earning to spending. Are you going in the hole a little bit every month, or do you have a surplus at the end of every month? And you need to know how much that is. The second thing is you need to then do the work to look at, okay, now I know maybe I have a little bit of surplus, but I think I need more surplus. So you really then need to watch your money like a hawk. You need to look underneath what I call the hood of your financial situation, look and see what's under there, and look and do the exercise I just did with you on the last slide, is look at all your current spending and then reorganize the spending and look for places you can cut spending there because you're going to re-spend, what I call re-spend that money elsewhere. The next thing you need to start doing is you need to bucket that surplus. You need to bucket all that surplus into savings and investing accounts and just get it completely out of your household books, because you can't spend what you don't see. That's sort of a money rule of thumb, a money tip right there. So you sweep that money out. It's what I call sweep to save. But you need to start bucketing that money outside of your main account and start so that you can do something different with the money and separate it from your monthly spending. The next thing to become a millionaire is then it's really it's part of changing your relationship with money. But you want to at least have one monthly romantic date with your money. And better yet, if you can have a romantic date with your honey and your money, even better. But it's really having a romantic date. And what I mean by romantic is like the idea of romantic, where it's enjoyable, it's quiet time, it's important time, it's valuable time. It's just like going on that romantic date with your honey. It has real meaning to it. It has a different mood. It's in a different environment. You get a babysitter for the kids and you go out to a nice dinner or whatever it is. That it's not the same if you're trying to just do it. There's no such thing as a romantic dinner date right in the middle of the TV going and the kids and making dinner and running around. And so you know what I mean? It's really quiet time and it's important time. And then the next thing is you really do have to prioritize growing your money to 20 times your annual spend. And that has to be the goal, is that you have to know, okay, how much does it cost to live my lifestyle? And if I can live just fine on $50,000 a year, then the goal needs to be to grow 20 times that, to grow that $50,000 to $1 million. So that $1 million then turns into $50,000, which becomes your passive income that covers your working income. And then you don't have to work for your $50,000 anymore. But if you do continue to work for your $50,000 because you do it in 10 years versus 20, 30, or 40 years, because you're really on that track of the 10-year millionaire in the making versus the 40-year, for example, and you've adjusted your spending accordingly. If you keep your $50,000 a year job and your assets are making you $50,000, then you're making $100,000 a year. And then you can do the same formulas. And I have what I call the millionaire formula, where I really teach you the exact formulas to apply to every category. But then you can do everything that much faster. So even though that's where people that make $50,000 a year are millionaires and sometimes multimillionaires, because when they grow their assets, then they can double their income without working twice as hard. And that's the secret that nobody's telling us. We just think it's working harder. And no, the goal is to work less, or to work less hard over time. But the only way to do that is that where our assets start doing is the hard work, and to replace our hard work. So that's the 5 steps to becoming a millionaire. So here's the thing. Financial freedom is easy. It really is easy. It's as easy as everything I just showed you. But basically, it can boil down to these 2 things. You calculate how much you must invest to become a millionaire. So how much do you need to invest to become a millionaire in the period of time? Like I said, Gary and I, when we're making $50,000, we're like, okay, we want it in 20 years. We're making $100,000. We're like, we want it in 10 years. When we made, when our income even went up from there, we, then, obviously even that time frame went down, but just we're diligent investors because we wanted millionaire status as quickly as possible. We wanted our asset income to replace our working income sooner than later, as fast as we could, still enjoying our life today. I mean, not like living off rice and beans, but really really holding our spending to very intentional spending. So that's the first thing, is calculating how much you need to invest to become a millionaire in the time that you want. And then you get to spend what's left over, and you organize your life accordingly. That's it. I mean, that's what millionaires do. That's what I call the reverse engineering part. That's what that means. So to become a millionaire, financial freedom's easy. You do you calculate how much you need to invest and you spend the difference, which means you stop buying shit. We have to get out of the consumption mentality. We have to separate buying things from our happiness. We have to get away from becoming a Joneses, maxing out our mortgage, having credit card debt. I mean, the second we quit swiping our credit cards, the day that we have to deal with our real income. So financial freedom's easy if you stop buying shit. And what do? Well, instead of buying shit, you buy an investment property instead of a BMW. And then what happens when your income doubles and you go from $50,000 to $100,000? The natural thing is to go get the BMW, right? You've made it. You're into the 6-figure income earners, and that's what 6 figures do, is they buy a BMW. And usually they buy it, they don't even buy it, they lease it. So here's the key takeaway, is that when you're giving money to the banks in terms of payments, every payment is to a bank, a credit card bank, a mortgage bank, a car bank. So all that money that goes to the banks, you get to choose. You keep them rich or you make you rich. So it's okay if you want to drive a BMW and you get a payment to do it, just know you're making the banks billionaires, and you're keeping your future self from being rich. You're depriving yourself of becoming a millionaire in the making, because it's either or, unless unless you're already a multimillionaire, then it doesn't matter, but you're not, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So you choose, do you give the money to the BMW bank or do you give the money to your bank? It's either or. And that's what most people aren't doing, which keeps us strapped and handcuffed, is strapped and handcuffed to the payments. So instead of buying investment property, instead of buying a BMW, buy an investment property. So let's just do a little bit of millionaire math. And I can get my phone here. So I'm going to do a quick millionaire calculation on a compounding calculator. And this is how easy it is. All right. So the average car payment in the US is $450. I'm going to round it down a little bit. I think it's like $479, but it's like $450. So let's say you buy the car, you buy the BMW lease payment, or it's not even BMW. I don't know what you can get for $450. But let's go and say $450. And we're going to do, I'm going to say, okay, instead of paying $450 to the car, we're going to do $450. We're going to do that at 15 years, or let's do 20 years. So how much do you think, instead of paying $450 to the car bank and paid $450 to your bank, how much would that $450 be worth in 20 years? So in 20 years, it would be worth about $350,000. All right. So do you want the BMW or do you want $350,000? Now I'm going to calculate this into 40 years. And how much do you think that $450 BMW payment would be worth in your bank instead in 40 years? It would be worth about $3 million. So you could be worth $3 million if over your working career, you paid cash for your cars and you just never got the car payment. And instead you would be worth $3 million, and divide that by 20 and see how much income that is every single month or year. So now let's say you do a BMW lease payment, and that's $750 a month, which I know lots of people that have a $750 plus car payment. So $750, how much would that $750 be worth in your bank in 20 years? In 20 years, you'd be worth about $600,000. And what do you think in 40 years? In 40 years, it would be worth $5 million. So that's how quickly I just put that into my cell phone compounding calculator, which I have that on my phone because I'm compounding all the time, hint, hint. But that's it. So $450 to the car bank, or $350,000 in your bank just in 20 years, or $750 in the BMW lease bank, or $750 in your bank 20 years, it would be $600,000, or anywhere between $3 and $5 million. So that's why the rich get richer, because they're putting money in their banks and their investments, their compounding, they're getting the compounding. They understand the rig and they're not party to it. But you have to do some of that millionaire math. Just put it in the calculator. When you do that, we do this in the course, but when you do that, then it changes your spending. It changes the way the way you value certain, possessions. Do you want to possess new clothes or do you want to possess an investment? And, no right or wrong. It's just, which one do you choose? Okay. So that was a lot of teaching, and I talked really fast and I went through a lot of high level concepts, but here's a really important question I want to ask you. Do you think you could be rich if you thought and acted like a rich person? And it's an important question to answer. I asked myself that question back, in my early 30s. And at that time I was divorced, a single mom. I had $150,000 of debt, which $100,000 of which was tax liens, and $50,000 of credit card debt. I was in complete financial crisis and financial despair, and I did not know a way out. And what I finally just had this question that was posed to me. I read it in a book, and it basically said, do you think you could be rich if you thought and acted like a rich person? And my answer was yes. And so my next thought was, I guess I need to go learn how to think and act like a rich person. So that's what I did. I spent the next decade investing in my knowledge about money And I learned the money basics. I got myself out of the $150,000 of debt and went on to build assets and build businesses and build net worth, and just really became a disciple of money mastery. And the truth is that it's true. If you could learn how to think and act like a rich person, you'll be rich. But you have to think and act like a rich person. And that's what I was, the concepts I was just teaching you. When we talk about what millionaires do or their secrets, this is how they think and act. So, that was a lot. And when it comes to money, if we want to be rich, there's two choices. We can continue to do what we want to do, what we've always done, and stay on the same money path, the same paycheck to paycheck hamster. Because what we choose is we either choose to commit to a different path, a different set of choices, a different beliefs and habits and practices, or we stay on the same track that we are because it's very comfortable. But it's really a choice. We're in the financial situation we're in because of all the choices we've made to date, because of sort of the habits and the mindsets and what we know today has produced the space that we're in, because money is a result, health is a result, everything is a result, cause and effect. So if you want to really be committed to changing your life, to changing the trajectory of your life, to have a different financial future for you, your kids, your family, your legacy, then commit to it. Ask yourself the question even, what will your life look like a year from now or 5 years from now if you don't do different with your money? And really get into that. How will your family be? How will your health be? How will the future generations be? Because this is really important conversations to have with money. This is part of the money math, is estate planning, legacy planning, protection planning. All of this is all about how is the active care for our family in so much is organized around money. That's why, like rich people, they have estate plans. They have their legacy set in place because it's an active care. They have insurance. It's all an active care for the people that they love. And philanthropic planning, that's sort of the next layer to it. This big difference between saying something like, I'm going to learn something to get an intellectual understanding, and saying, F this, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to stay stuck. I'm sick and tired of the way this is, and I'm done with this problem, and I'm going to do something about this. I'm not going to be this person anyway. I'm going to do something differently. That's you, and you really want to change the trajectory of your financial future, then stick with me. I want to show you a way to do that. So remember this cute little toddler that started her life in front of a trailer home, not in front of a trailer home, living in a trailer home. Me now. This is where I am now. And this is the Wise balance sheet, Christine Gary Wise. And I'm sharing it not to impress you, but simply to express to you what is possible from a girl in her home. And it was abandoned by her two alcoholic parents. And this balance sheet, that I have a balance sheet, there's another hint, balance sheets, because that's where you know your true value, your asset value, how much you're truly worth financially. But this is what's possible after not only starting but losing all my income and being $150,000 in my to going through 2 real estate crashes. The technology crash in year 2000, and then the subprime real estate crash 2007, 2008. And after 2013, I got really sick. And Gary and we lost everything again because I got sick that we drained all of our savings and had no assets to save my life. And so out in 2014, I had to start over again. But there's a tip in there. There's a secret in there. Is that when you understand how money works, when you're a self-made millionaire, you know how to do it. You can do it over and over and over again. I hope we don't have to start over. I hope that was the last sort of tragedy in our lives. But we know how to start over, but everyone can. That's why you can start over from where you are. I've started over 4 different times in my life, and this is what our books look like now. So basically, there's a few things to pay attention to here. One is really this net worth number. So net worth, that's our net worth that pays income. So this is asset value that actually produces cash flow, produces income. So here's the numbers to really pay attention to. Working income is 7 figures. Like I said, working income, that's great, but that's not really what I care about. That's not what I'm most proud of. I'm proud of certainly to, be a kid that, I don't think we made $10,000 a year, but that's not what's impressive. This is what I'm most proud of. And this is a result of studying rich people, is learning how to do this, is that our passive income from this net worth up here is right about roughly $100,000. Our household every year, Gary, that we keep our expenses at $100,000. So you see, our expenses are roughly 10% of our household of our working income. But so we could keep this really low. It's only 10%, 100%, 90%, 80%. But this is why we've been able to build this, because we keep this at a fraction of our working income. So that's sort of takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2 is officially, I don't like the word retirement because that makes me think of old, being old and sort of being done and not being in the marketplace anymore. But financial freedom, like we have our time. We're doing what we love, the work we love. We're living the dream life we love that includes building businesses and making change and huge impact in everything that we do that we're so passionate about. 100% by choice, self-actualization by choice, because our asset income covers the cost of our living. So we could give up this working income if we wanted to, right? And we have 0 debt, which allows us to do these things in the gray boxes. And then we have buckets. We invest 40% of our gross income. We spend about 10% of our gross income. And I call the different tires buckets our different buckets, which are savings accounts, because cash is security and cash is king. And you have to have cash and know how to stockpile cash and then what to do with that cash and cash flow it and grow it, which is a whole different investing training that I teach. But this is what it looks like. This is the game. This is what millionaires do. This is what millionaires know. It's why the rich get richer. But that's the game. It's a different game than money in, money out. And I hope to save and invest what's left over. All right, so that was a lot. So here's a question. Are you still feeling a little lost? And if you are, don't worry, I'll be your money guide. And how I'm your money guide is that it took me over a decade to figure out this money thing, because money, the way it's taught out there, it's complicated. And most of what's being taught is this old way of talking about money. And it's all these different pieces. Nothing's integrated. Nothing's simple. And I think there's sort of conspiracy of the financial planning industry to make it very complex. So we'll think money investing is hard. So we abdicate it to them and we're not in control of our money. So actually, once I, really started studying this, learning this, and, interviewing millionaires, applying what I learned, I was really distilled it down to make money as simple as possible, because I'm not a rocket scientist and I'm not a hedge fund manager or sitting on Wall Street somewhere. I don't have that ability. I don't have that brain, but I did figure out how to simplify money. So someone that's a small town girl that grew up in a trailer home can do it, right? So if I can do this, I know that everyone can through the simplification process. And that's what I call my money paint by numbers. It's a step-by-step, actionable, step-by-step system that helps people become millionaires in the making, to help reorganize their money life so that they can start changing the trajectory of their future self financial situation. And this is what it is. It's my Mindful Money course, 7 weeks to 7 figures. And it's a course. It's a class. It's a money class, like what we should have learned in middle school. And this is how it breaks down. Week 1 is we work on millionaire mindset. Millionaires, one thing that millionaires have is they have a millionaire mindset. They have worked through some of the emotional, like what I call money baggage, the shame, the guilt, the fear, the I'm not good enough, this money's hard, like whatever those stories are in our head, that's baggage. It's programming. It's in our subconscious mind. It's cultural, and it's from our family, what we brought, this, how the household we grew up in. So the first thing, if we're going to become millionaires, the first thing we have to do before we do anything else is take the charge out of money, to really look at our beliefs and look at why we're sabotaging ourselves, and just get clean with it. It's going through what I call little money therapy. So that's week one. It's just really, like I said, taking the negative charge, looking at and trying to uncover why we have some of these feelings about money, and neutralize them, and move that from guilt, shame, and embarrassment maybe to power, abundance, hunger, appetite, fun, to just a whole different mindset around money. I want to tell you about Fee. Fee is one of my clients, and she said, before I took the Mindful Money course, I had deep fear, shame, and paralysis about money. Guided me with the real system for becoming a money, increase my income, and get rid of my debt so that I can start building wealth. As a result, I have a healthier relationship with money, have more confidence, and have a roadmap for becoming a millionaire. So two is the millionaire budget. And this is where we take the old antiquated budgets. They're all about restriction and not spending, and to what I call the millionaire budget, which is the abundance budget. But it's not about restriction. It's just about reorganizing. It's about changing, moving. It's all about, I just call it reorganizing your spending and putting it into a broke person's budget. We learn some basic money management skills. You'll download my Mindful Money budget. I'll give you the actual chart of accounts and spreadsheet. You'll start observing your spending. You'll start plugging in your own numbers. You'll step on what I call the money scale, where we really look at, holy cow, I had no idea I was spending this amount of money. And then this will be the beginning of the week where we really start working together to design your financial future. And this is something of what it looks like. That, I give you this millionaire budget, and a millionaire budget means your money's broken up in different categories, and you start just getting your numbers organized, maybe for the first time ever, if not a first time in a long time. Week 3 is what I call the millionaire microscope. And that's really when we start looking at our spending under a microscope. When we look at something, we go through an exercise called Money and Meaning to really help us locate and land in, like, wow, why am I if I'm spending this money on Starbucks, is that meaningful? If I respent that money, reorganize that spending elsewhere, would it serve me better? We separate living expenses from luxury expenses. All of our monies are all commingled together. And so when they're not categorized and separated, and when we don't separate our sort of living required expenses from our luxury, we can't really take our, our financial temperature. We have to step on that financial scale and really look and observe of, like, where am I spending the money? And there's a quote that I like that's so apropos, which is, small leaks sink big ships, and nothing's truer with money. So we have to look for the leaks. And also during this week, you start negotiating some fees and some bills. You start what I go fishing for money, finding money. It's a really fun exercise. And, so many of my students, they say, oh my God, Christina, I found hundreds of dollars that I had no idea that I had, basically. So this is what it basically looks like. We start just looking and breaking down all of our different expenses, or verb, by the way, we talk about that in the course. Money is a verb, not as a noun. And we just start going through the exercise. Is meaning in money, is this expense meaningful, or would it be more meaningful if I instead of spending on Spotify, I spent that $10 on and started sweeping it into my education bucket, for example. So here's Connie. She replied in the course itself. She said, thank you for the sequential steps to take and the scripts to use when negotiating lower bills. And reviewing our cell phone bills, we discovered that while we're paying for a premium data plan, we never came close to using the amount of data allowed. We're able to use this information and renegotiate a new plan, saving $60 a month. That's $60 a month. I have a business line on the plan. However, we all have calls routed to me personal, blah, blah, blah. We're working with a cell carrier to convert the business line to the computer line that will now decrease the bill by another $35 a month. So now she's saving $95 a month. We'll also be removing the television portion of our cable bill and utilize free programming and streaming through our computer, saving another $50. That's basically $150 exercise in the course. That's over $1,500 a year. Now she can put that in a different bucket, into one of her red buckets. So and she had no idea that, that it's just that we're not looking at our money. We're not thinking about it. These expenses are just going out every month. And so, everyone basically pays for the course, the cost of the course, but within the first couple of weeks, once they really go through the Millionaire Microscope exercise. All right, week 4 is Millionaire Math. So this is when we start getting out the compounding calculator. And I go through with you the millionaire formulas. We do some, look at our current situation. We create a future situation. We discover the cost of our dream life. How much does it cost to live the life we want? And then how much asset in net worth or asset value do we need to produce that will cover the cost of that lifestyle that we want? We find our freedom number. We start designing our 20X plan during this week. You really can, and you auto calculate future financial scenarios. And I have a calculator. It's a calculator that you get. It's a gift with the program. This is my intellectual property. I built this. You can't get this anywhere out there, but it's a whole forecasting calculator. And if I put this away, if I changed my spending from this percentage to that percentage, how much could I put in all my buckets? And it's auto calculated. So you can create any dream scenario you ever wanted. And it's really fun, and it's eye-opening and revealing. And many times it's the true empowerment that when people feel empowered, the students are finally empowered to see what's possible. It's not just a dream. It's not fuzzy. It's real. It's doable. It's actionable. And the calculator will tell you exactly what to do. So here's Kim. Kim says, before I met Christina, I was terrified of money and it controlled me. As a result, no matter how hard I worked, I was paycheck to paycheck. I had no idea how much my fear of simple math and avoidance were sabotaging my hard work and best intentions. Everything changed once I learned millionaire math and reverse engineered my approach. Not only do I have a surplus in my buckets, but I rock my money and have gotten my life back. In fact, I took a real vacation for the first time and paid cash for it. So week number 6 is banking buckets. This is the funnest week. This is where we actually start. We create our buckets. We create the new accounts, and we do what I call sweep to save. We start sweeping. Instead of swiping a credit card, we're swiping basically our debit card that moves money from our household account to our different buckets. And during this week, you'll set these up. You do the work. You feel accomplishment, right? But you're going to learn the secret to saving. That we can't save because we don't know how. So I teach you how to save. I teach you how to become an automatic millionaire. We start automating these different sweeps and filling of our buckets. You set up your buckets. We do the sweeping. We set up the automation, and in this week we start putting your dreams into action. And this is what it looks like basically. Again, we take the spreadsheets we've worked off before and the calculators, and we just look at your different buckets. And there's 5 different buckets: your tax bucket, your wealth and wealth bucket, and your red bucket, your reservoir, education, and dreams. I teach what all these buckets are. Yes, you have all these different buckets. Yes, you will start filling you start putting money in each of these buckets by the end of the course. And by using your forecasting calculator from, the Millionaire Math Week before, we just start filling your buckets. You start putting money in your buckets. And for the first time ever, you'll probably have savings, and you'll see how your savings will grow. And again, empowerment, control, mastery, and you'll realize that you own this money thing. This is Naomi. Naomi said, I just put money in my buckets. I used the formula for my last 10 checks. I'm on top of the world. It feels so good to see my buckets filling. I have a whole new sense of security. And that's what the buckets are about. Savings are about security. Cash is peace of mind. We need buckets. You have to have access to cash. That's what gets you out of the financial stress and tension to peace of mind. Eat it even before you get to financial freedom. We have to have cash in your buckets. Week 6 is called Making Bank, and this is where I really teach you the fundamentals tied to earnings so that you can start increasing your earnings. We need to get all the spending, things done first, but then once we get all the other pieces of your buckets and your spending in order, then we talk about how to increase your income. I really teach this section, the realizing the danger of focusing on income over business profit and business profit over saving and investing. In this week, you'll learn the importance of different revenue streams and how to create them. You'll learn really the secret to turning your working income into passive income. You'll start to learn how to think income as cash flow versus income. Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. You'll learn how to increase your income immediately. By the time you take this week, you'll have more income. You'll separate your business books from your personal books, and you'll learn the basics of business financials. And week 7 is what I call the Millionaire Investor. And in this week, you'll learn the basics of the fundamentals of investing, discover how easy it is to become a millionaire, and you're going to build your balance sheet and place your first investments maybe ever. So that's the Millionaire Investor, week 7. So all of that, it's 7 figures. And here's Karen and Mark's story. We love your concept of money and marriage. Taking the Mindful Money course together as a couple has totally changed our perspective on our money situation, enabling us to set clear spending, marriage, and investment goals. Even though we both come from corporate finance and accounting backgrounds, your course has made our personal finances and priorities easily manageable and understandable for the first time ever. And then week 8 is a bonus week, and that's where we do a millionaire toast for those of you that make it through the entire program. You've changed the trajectory of your life, so that is definitely something to celebrate. And so you'll get an enormous shout out in the Millionaire Club. And you'll get a 30-minute celebration and what's next call with yours truly. So it's sort of your own breakthrough money session bonus week. So the Mindful Money course, 7 weeks, just 7 figures. It's a virtual classroom. There's 7 live Q&A sessions included. You'll get a budget and a chart of accounts. You'll get all the financial tools and resources you need. In fact, you don't have to go outside the course for anything. You'll get the forecasting calculators and all the help and support you need. So this course is not about information. It's about transformation. It's an actionable course. You'll be doing something. You'll be each week builds on itself, step by step. Week 1 sets you up for week 2. Week 2 sets you up for week 3, so on and so forth for the 7 weeks. This course will change your life. It's transformation. It's money and meaning. It's changing the trajectory. And here's this is what the money gurus out there don't tell you. So even if you've tried to read blog articles or read books, they've made money complex, but this is what it boils down to. And this is what you're going to learn in the course and put together in the course. And these are the different parts of money. And all these parts have to be working together. So it's all an integrative system. It's holistic, it's integrative, it's complete, and they build on each other. So it's not compartmentalized. This is part of what you learn and what you do. But one thing we're always looking to do is how to increase our working income. We need to increase our saving. Then we need to increase our investing. We need to reorganize our spending, and we need to design a passive income strategy and save for taxes. So saving, investing, spending, passive income, working income, and taxes are the 6 components of money that we need to care about and we need to work on. So you get in the course, you get money education training, you're done for you budget, millionaire math worksheets, you build your balance, you get your balance sheet, you create your spending plan, you get your automatic millionaire design, your millionaire calculator, you get all the exercises as you do the week, and you get your debt payoff plan of action. It's 100% online. You can log in anytime to learn. You can check, there's a complete week by week checklist system. So you check off every action item. Like I said, you're doing the work and you're checking the boxes. So those of you that like to check or cross things out will love this. There's a confidential inbox. You can get specific advice on your personal money situation, and you can repeat the program at any time. So that's the Mindful Money course, 7 weeks to 7 figures, and it's 3 payments of $215. The retail price for this is $2,000, and I'm charging it. I'm charging 3 payments at $215. I want everyone to have access to this program. I want everyone to be able to afford this, to do the work, to change your life, to transform their life. This course is transformational. If you do the work, your life will be better. And most of my students that go through, they said, I thought this was a money course, but this is a life course. It will change your life for generations. And then many people, they'll want their kids to go through it, other family members go through it, their colleagues at work to go through it. So it's a really powerful program to take, to go through, to change your life. I have a few bonus gifts also that I'd like to throw in to just entice you that much more to invest in yourself, invest the time and money and energy to transform your future. So included with the course is what I call the Get Out of Debt Handbook. This is a real handbook that you get that's a step-by-step actionable for what to do to accelerate your debt payoff. It builds on the course because in the course, you set up your debt payoff bucket basically. And then once you have that bucket already set up, then this will show you exactly what to do with that bucket to start accelerating your debt payoff so it doesn't take you 15 years to pay off that minimum payment. Also included, another bonus is that a lot of people will ask me, where do I categorize my business expenses? And so what I teach is that we shouldn't be commingling our business with our personal. So I'm going to include my Business Books 101 course that basically it's a lesson on how to separate your business monies from your personal monies and how to create a business P&L and just the very basics of that. And then finally, I'm going to include a ticket to my next Wealthy, not the next one. The next one's full in May, but the one after that will be the last week of October, I believe. But my Wealthy live event where those of you that really want to come up close and personal, learn from me in person, and be in a workshop with my millionaire experts, then I open that up and I'm going to throw in a free ticket. That's a $750 event that if you like the live portion, then if you'd want to take advantage of that. So all of the payment $7. And to get started, just go to mindfulmoneycourse.com or just click in the chat box. There is a place where you can go ahead and get started. So that's the Mindful Money course. It's Mindful Money, and the name is it's intentional. It is about being mindful with our money. It's taking time. It's being thoughtful. It's being conscious versus unconscious. And money has to be mindful. And it's 7 weeks to 7 figures because once you go through the 7 weeks, you will be on your way to your 7-figure future. So get started now. Just go to mindfulmoneycourse.com or click the live link in the chat box. All right, so that's a lot of talking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up to all Q&A to ask any money questions. So while I take a drink of water, if you'll just go ahead and type in any question of what I talked about or any money question you have just looming that you've always wanted to ask someone. All right, so Lucy says, hi Lucy, 3 address tithing in your program. So tithing, I do address in the program, and tithing is different for different people. So one thing you do learn through the course, and it takes a couple weeks for people to really catch on to this, is that the Mindful Money it's a paint by numbers guide. It truly is paint by numbers. But paint by numbers says, okay, you have the numbers and the colors that goes to the paint, but there's no hard fast rule that if you paint, the blue that's for the number 3, you can put that in the 1 box if you want to, right? But it's just knowing if you more or less follow this map, this paint by numbers grid, that it's going to turn into this really beautiful painting. But it's not like you're a failure or you're something terrible is going to happen if you put a different color on the different number. So this is the same in the course. This is a guide and a paint by number approach. For example, it's different for different people. That's why it's not like a religion. Some people, for example, if it's more of a religious tithing, this is part of what's important to them is that they tithe, let's say 10% of their gross income. And I have a lot of friends that's what they do. So that would be what's called above the line. And you just take 10% of your gross income off the top, and then that would be, you'd have your amount off the top that goes to your investments and your amount off the top that goes to your taxes, and then you have the amount off the top that goes to your tithing, and then you live on what's left over. So that's one approach that I teach in the course. And the other one is you just put it as either a living or luxury expense, and you put that into your spending budget. All right, so I thought if you want $500,000 per year, then $10 million would do it. However, your budget showed $100,000 per year. So $100,000 per year. So divide, if you want $500,000, multiply that times 20, and that's how much you would need, which is 10 million. So yes, that's right. You've got the right number. All right. So yes, if you want $500,000 a year, you need $10 million. You just multiply it by 20. And then if you divide 500,000, if you divide 10 million by 20, then that would be 500,000. So that's how the math works. All right, 3, would this course be comprehensive enough to do personal and business because I'm self-employed? This course is really designed, Lucy, for the blend of personal and business. This course is for entrepreneurs. It's for self-employed, business owners. That's what I am. I've never had a W-2 paycheck in my life. So this is the power of the course, is that it's how, when your life and your business are kind of one thing, and how you sort of sift through all that and create some sort of very clear plan of action. And so, yes, that's where I include the Business Books 101, and we talk about how to move monies actually through one to the other and back again. So that's all is part of this course. And thank you for asking that, because it's really what makes it so unique compared to some of the other systems out there. All right, so Melissa says, well, I have debts and money expenses. How do I get started on saving more? Well, Melissa, that happens when you go through the Millionaire Microscope and the Money and Meaning exercise. And that's where that's such a powerful part of the course. And so you just look at debt's okay. Most people have debt, and, so you're not alone, and that's factored in that. And so we just look at, you have your debt, you have your minimum payments that we calculate as part of your required expenses. And then we reorganize some spending, that's what you do in week 3 of the program. And then we're going to look for some money to apply to your red buckets, your savings buckets, and your accelerated debt payoff. All right, welcome to the course. Congratulations, Wendy, Danny, Bill, Robin, Nikki, Sharon, Amanda, Lori, and Janice. So congratulations. Welcome to the course. Welcome aboard. Your life is about to change. I just love, love, love you all making this, taking this action, taking this step. We all have power over our own lives. We can change our future just like this by snap of a finger, by making a different choice. But choice is hard. Most of us would rather do nothing and just hope and pray that things are going to turn out in the end. But life doesn't work that way. Life is a result of our choices, of our actions. And where we are today is a result of historical, mindsets and practices and habits and behaviors. So if those aren't working for us, if those behaviors, if that current level of thinking, knowledge, and behaviors haven't set us up in the situation we want, then they'll do something different. Doing the same thing is just going to get us more of the same. So I'm always so excited when I see people making the change, making the choice to make change, to do something different, to have the courage to try something new. All right, so Lucy says, I think you said your home and car is not an asset. Why would a home not be an asset? Or clarify, correct what I heard. So my definition of an asset, Lucy, is something that makes you money. So if you live in your house, your homestead, how does that make you money? So it doesn't make you money. It just puts a roof over your head. So that's what a home is. But you're at least you live in. The goal of owning a house basically is that at some point in your future you pay it off so that you don't have a rent payment. Because if you have a mortgage, you're renting your house. It's the same as rent. That's what people don't think about. They think they own their house. As long as you have a mortgage payment, you are renting your house. The bank owns your house. You're making payments to the bank as rent, basically. And they'll take it back if you don't pay it. Well, you have, sorry, my desk just moved. So you're renting your house until you pay it off. But you pay it off. Why? What's the difference between rent to a landlord and rent to the bank? The rent to the landlord is that you'll pay it forever, because you'll never pay off the rent to the landlord. The only reason why you really do a mortgage and pay rent on the mortgage is so at the end of 20, 15, 20, or 30 years, you own the thing. It's paid off. So then you don't have any more rent payments. And now you can use that $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month and spend it towards something else. So Gary and I have that house. Now, traditional financial planners would say, well, that's stupid because you're only paying 5 or 6% interest and you can get, 8 or whatever in the market. But for us, we're like, we don't care. We're taking that mortgage payment that we had, we're investing it in, in high return investments. And we have peace of mind that we don't have rent every month. So we own our place free and clear. And that's just peace of mind, but it's not an asset. It doesn't make us money. It just gives us a free place to live. So that's the way we think about it. A car is not an asset because it costs you money. Your house costs you money. Now, when your house is an investment property and it cash flows, then it can be an asset. If you rent out a room, Airbnb in your homestead, then it can be partial asset. So hopefully, I teach all this in the class, but that's, again, it's unconventional thinking and learning that will help you really sort of rethink and then redesign your life, your financial life. So Monica says, I'm not on the same page with my husband on money. Where do I start? Monica, that's very normal. Very few people are on the same page with their spouse when it comes to money. And it's a hard one. There's a lot of money conflict when you're not on the same page. But basically, my advice is you learn money. Do it for you. A lot of times, let's say, I'm big into health. I'm into money and health, wealthy, right? But, so I have a lot of people on the health side of the equation that says, my husband, I really want to do this paleo diet, but my husband doesn't want to do it. Do I cook 2 meals or what do I do? And again, same thing. It's really hard. But my advice is do it for you. If you want to be healthy, you change your diet. If your husband doesn't want to, you can't control him. You can't change him. But maybe if you become healthier and you look good and feel good and your mood is better and you're happier and your life is just completely changed, maybe your husband will come along and say, I want some of what she's having. Same with your money. Do it for you. You learn. You go through the program. You do these things. You educate yourself. You start to do some shifts in your finances for the better. Then maybe if he notices these things, that you're happier, that you're learning these things, you're very excited about this, you're making new friends going through the program, you're engaged, your mood is shifted, you're less nervous or bitchy or gripey or complaining because of the money stuff, he might just come around and say, what's going on, honey? I think I want some of that. So that's my only real advice and best advice. And many times that happens where the spouse actually gets on board because the other one is so excited. All right. So Lucy says, awesome answer to Monica about husband, and I needed to hear it too. Yay. Adrian says, what is your definition of a millionaire? Is it 1 million in assets or 1 million in net worth? So, Adrian, basically, that's a good question. And your assets and net worth are more or less the same thing. When you count your assets as income producing possessions, then that is your net worth. But in the sense that okay, so I think now, never mind, I get what you're saying. So to become a net worth millionaire is the goal, because the net worth millionaire means the net of your assets produces your $50,000 of income. So you might have real estate assets that the valuation of those assets, let's say, is 2 million, but you owe $1 million in debt. So if it's, the value, the market value of the real estate is 2 million, but you have loans on them, what's $1 million, your net worth is $1 million. So it's a net worth millionaire, not an asset millionaire, if that's the question you were asking. So hopefully that answers that question. So Lori says, my husband and I are doing this. It's wonderful to be on the same page. So often the third party is saying something that brings it home better than you saying it. Yay. Awesome. All right, guys, I want to say congratulations to Brenda, Bonnie, Samantha, Allison, Randy, Johnny, Bertrand, Monica, Samuel, and Sarah. Congratulations on changing your life, making this investment in yourself. Again, this is it's not easy. You guys don't know who I am. I can, this might be our first introduction. So it takes a lot of courage to make this choice and basically to click the yes button. But that's another millionaire secret. Millionaires invest in education. They invest in themselves. They take some chances. They go with their gut a lot of the times. But they take action. You cannot become a millionaire and be passive, be an onlooker, standby. You have to be the one taking action, doing something different, caring about your future, believing in yourself, doing extra work. There's no such thing as just sitting on the sofa and pressing the remote control, and all of a sudden life changes and turns out for us. All right, let me know if you have any more questions. And we've run out of our time together, so I'll stay on for another minute or more if you all have any final questions. So thank you all for being here with me today. Thank you for sticking with me. Hope and didn't drop off when I was having some of the technical difficulties. I wanted to scream. I swear. We test all this, test it and retest it before it starts, and then sometimes it doesn't work. And Gary and I are like, ah. So thank you so much. You guys are amazing. For everyone that's invested in themselves in the course, congratulations. And I'm here with you every step of the way. I'm not going anywhere. This is my life's work. So you can always find me. I'm always here to help. All right, so we have no more questions. You all have a great day. Thanks again for being here. And for those of you that purchased the course, I will be with you and see you on the other side. You already have your startup material in your inbox. I'll talk to you soon.